This is figure 13.18, and it's a really simple figure that that we use in soils, and it can be used in lots and lots of other contexts. But we use this in soils to describe how nutrient supply to a plant affects yield. Same thing could be used to talk about cattle gain as a function of how many calories they're getting, how much nitrogen they're getting, and so forth. But in our situation, what we do is we have all these factors. In this case, we have several factors: light, heat, mechanical support, organic matter, phosphorus, nitrogen, potassium are our three largest fertilizers. Other nutrients that may be available or not available: water and air. And this is on a whole plant, whole ecosystem sort of scale. The amount of water that this barrel is able to hold is equal to the yield, the predicted yield that we would have in this case. And what you're seeing here is the fact that when a plant is limited by phosphorus, that's to the extent that it's limited, that is the limit of its yield. So if everything else is good, everything else is at the level that it needs to be at, but we lack phosphorus, then phosphorus is our limiting nutrient. In this one, it turns out that nitrogen is our limiting nutrient, and this is the case in most agricultural production. We can handle some of these other things, but nitrogen is not available or isn't in a high quantity when the plant needs it. And so it becomes that limiting nutrient, and we can only yield up to the amount of nitrogen. So soil testing is one process that determines for phosphorus, nitrogen, potassium, and other macronutrients and micronutrients. Soil testing allows us to actually get to the point where we say, oh, we are sufficient in these things, or we are deficient in certain things, so you need to apply a specific amount of nitrogen to meet the need for the yield that we desire. And so this law of the limiting factor idea helps us to think about why we would sample our soil, why we would pay attention to how many growing degree days there are, why we would pay attention to micronutrients, because they might become the limiting factor in our fields. So this is a helpful graph in that way.